Prison meals exposed, gang dominance in America, Britain, Australia. Metal trays slam. Alarms scream. Boots pound against concrete. Camera shakes as if running through a prison hallway. Asterisk, the fight didn't start over money, or territory, or even respect. It started over a single, cheap, plastic spoon. Someone shouts, "Lock it down." Gates crash shut like rolling thunder. Asterisk, in less than 10 seconds, lunch hour turned into chaos. Tables flipping, guards rushing, inmates shouting. All because one man picked up the wrong piece of cutlery. From the wrong table. In the wrong section of the cafeteria. People think prison food is just bland, boring meals. But inside these walls, every tray is a message. A warning. A currency. And sometimes a battlefield. Prison meals exposed. The unseen map of the cafeteria. A prison cafeteria looks simple from the outside. Rows of metal tables, officers on watch, steaming trays sliding across a counter. But for the people living inside, this room is a map. A map made of invisible borders, silent agreements, and rules no one speaks. But everyone must follow. Sit at the wrong table in an American prison, and you haven't just made a mistake. You've crossed into someone else's territory. Former inmates describe it like this. You don't get a warning. You just feel every eye turn toward you. A simple cafeteria becomes a living diagram. This row belongs to one group, that corner to another. And the middle tables? Neutral territory, used by people who know how to stay invisible. Meals aren't just about eating. They're about knowing your place, your alliances, and your risks. The power of a tray. A tray might look worthless. Pale beans, a soggy vegetable, a mystery patty. But inside prison, the value isn't flavor. It's power. A biscuit can be traded for instant coffee. A piece of fruit is worth more than some people earn in days. And ramen noodles, the little packets you can buy outside for pennies, become one of the most powerful currencies behind bars. Gangs don't always control food through force. Sometimes it's a glance. Sometimes it's a tray nudged across a table saying, "You're with us." Or a tray left untouched saying, "You're on your own." In some American prisons, the strongest groups never steal food. They control the line. They control access. They control peace. Inside a place where almost everything is taken from you, food becomes one of the few things left that carries meaning, value, and safety. Britain's cafeterias. Different rules, same tension. British prisons look more organized. Lines are neater. Trays are cleaner. Menus change day to day. Sometimes curry, sometimes stew, sometimes pastries. But beneath that calm surface, the same invisible divisions exist. In the UK, groups often form around neighborhoods, London postcodes, Manchester crews, Liverpool groups. These ties follow people straight into the dining hall. A seat at a table can be an alliance. An empty seat can be a warning. The UK's servery system gives some inmates surprising influence. Inmates chosen to help distribute food have a silent kind of power. A slightly bigger spoonful for someone you like. A light tray for someone you don't. Nothing dramatic. Just small advantages in a place where small things matter. Even with better food options, the pressure of who you eat with and who you avoid remains constant. Australia's mixed system of order and opportunity. Australian prisons blend strict order with personal responsibility. Some facilities serve meals like the US. Others allow inmates to cook simple meals in unit kitchens. Routine creates safety here. Lines are watched closely. Seating is supervised. But social tension doesn't disappear. It simply settles under the surface. Former inmates describe it as a place where respect is maintained quietly. If someone disrespects another group during mealtime, word spreads across the entire unit almost immediately. Shared unit kitchens create new dynamics. Cooking together can build trust, or it can create silent divisions between people who stick with their own. Food becomes a symbol of cooperation, or a symbol of separation. The global thread, why food equals power. Different countries, different systems. different meals. But one truth connects them all. Inside prison, food is more than nourishment. It is survival, identity, negotiation, safety. In a world where almost everything is controlled for you, the smallest things, a seat, a spoon, a piece of bread, become symbols of who you are and where you stand. A tray isn't just a tray. It's a quiet map of power, fear, and loyalty. The underground economy of hunger. Inside prison, the official meals are only the beginning. Behind the trays, a quiet economy grows, built from hunger, creativity, and desperation. Imagine trying to stretch one bland dinner into a week of survival. Imagine saving your cornbread for 3 days just so you can trade it for a stamp, a pencil, or a favor. Inside, food becomes money, and money becomes influence. A pack of ramen can pay for a haircut. A honey bun might settle a small debt. A bag of chips? That could buy you a clean pair of socks or even protection for a day. No one writes down the rules. Everyone just knows them. Debt is taken seriously. Miss a payment, even if it's just a packet of seasoning. And the consequences come fast. Not always violent, but always felt. The most organized groups manage food like a bank. One inmate holds supplies. Another tracks who owes what. Everyone pays attention. In a place where your world shrinks to a few rooms and a few choices, the tiniest items can grow into something huge. Food becomes the foundation of trust. And survival. Real incidents where meals sparked tensions. To understand how powerful food is behind bars, you only need to look at the incidents that quietly erupt in cafeterias around the world. The U.S. A tray in the wrong hands. Asterisk in one American prison, a new inmate sat down at an empty table, not realizing it was claimed by a group with strong ties on the yard. No one touched him. No one yelled. They simply stood up and stared. Within seconds, the atmosphere changed. Forks paused in midair, guards shifted their stances, and the new inmate slowly stood up, holding his tray like a shield. Asterisk. The message was silent, but clear. This isn't your place. The UK, a missing dessert. In a British prison, a simple mix-up became a story everyone still remembers. An inmate working the servery accidentally forgot to give someone their dessert. A small pudding cup. It should have been nothing. But inside prison, even tiny things carry weight. The inmate who missed his dessert took it as disrespect, thinking someone was trying to send a message. Whispers spread, alliances tightened, and the servery worker had to switch units for safety. A single missing pudding cup reshaped a whole week of tension. Australia, kitchen misunderstanding. In Australia, shared kitchens create moments of both teamwork and tension. One night, a group cooked a simple meal together: rice, vegetables, and a few spices. Another inmate asked for a portion, but the cooks refused. They weren't being cruel. They simply didn't have enough. But the refusal spread like wildfire. Within hours, it turned into a rumor that the group was claiming the kitchen and shutting others out. Guards had to bring everyone together to talk it through before it grew into something worse. In prison, misunderstandings travel faster than truth. The psychology of eating behind bars. Food outside prison is comfort. Food inside is something else entirely. Some inmates eat fast, almost too fast. A habit from living in environments where eating slowly meant losing your meal. Others barely eat at all, saving pieces of bread or fruit for later, even though they know it won't taste the same. There's a constant pull between two instincts. Eat now because you're hungry, or save now because you might need it more later. Eating alone can feel like isolation. Eating at the wrong table can feel like danger. Eating too well, if you've got extra, can make you a target. And yet, shared meals can create rare moments of humanity. A joke passed across the table. A nod of understanding. A few seconds where everyone, just for a moment, feels normal again. Food becomes emotional currency just as much as physical currency. Navigating gang pressure safely. Prisons don't officially recognize gangs inside cafeterias. Guards won't draw you a map. New inmates must figure out the rules quickly, but the safest path is surprisingly simple. Most people survive meal times by staying quiet. observing before choosing a seat, and avoiding anything that looks like a territorial dispute. Eating alone can be smart. Joining a group too fast can be dangerous. But refusing food from someone, or accepting it without understanding the meaning, can be even riskier. In many prisons, people say, "It's not the tray you take that gets you in trouble. It's the tray you shouldn't have taken." Survival isn't about strength. It's about awareness. Why every country faces the same struggle. Across America, Britain, Australia, and far beyond, one thing becomes clear. No matter how different the food looks, the pressure feels the same. Every prison creates a world with limited freedom, limited choices, and limited control. Humans adapt by giving value to the things they can control. A seat, a spoon, a biscuit, a piece of fruit. Food becomes identity. Food becomes respect. Food becomes power. And even though the menus change from country to country, the meaning behind every tray stays universal.
When food becomes communication. In the outside world, people communicate with words, texts, and screens. Inside prison, communication often happens through tiny gestures, and food becomes one of the clearest languages. A tray slid across a table might mean welcome. A tray pushed away might mean danger. A shared biscuit might signal peace. A missing biscuit might signal trouble. Some inmates use food to build bridges with people they don't know, offering half a roll or a piece of fruit to show respect. Others use food to quietly warn someone to lay low today. It's subtle, silent, almost invisible if you're not paying attention. But inside prison, people pay attention to everything. The meals themselves, what people actually eat. For years, prison meals have been talked about, joked about, and compared online. But most people have never seen what they're really like. In American prisons, meals change by state and by facility. Some trays hold classic cafeteria food, beans, rice, chicken patties, bread, and apples. Others have mystery stews, overcooked vegetables, or meat substitutes that are hard to identify. In the UK, menus might include curry, jacket potatoes, small pies, or vegetarian options. Breakfast could be cereal, toast, or a simple baked item. It's not luxurious, but it's more structured. Australian meals range from standardized trays to inmate-cooked dishes, like stir-fries, simple pastas, stews, and rice bowls. None of these meals are meant to impress. They're meant to maintain order, nutrition, and routine. But their true impact has nothing to do with flavor, and everything to do with the environment in which they're served. The rise of prison chefs. In almost every prison system, there are inmates who become famous for cooking, not because they have real kitchens, but because they know how to turn scraps into something edible. With a few packs of ramen, some crushed chips, a slice of cheese, and creativity, they build full meals that bring comfort during long sentences. In U.S. prisons, spread, a mix of noodles, chips, seasoning, and whatever else people can get, becomes a symbol of unity. Groups gather to cook together, talk, laugh, and, just for a moment, feel like humans again. In the UK, improvised meals might include wraps, noodle dishes, or carefully seasoned rice bowls, cooked with nothing more than hot water, patience, and teamwork. In Australia, shared kitchens allow for more skill. Simple stir-fries, eggs, vegetables, and spices become a way for people to express themselves in a place where personal expression is rare. These prison chefs don't just cook food. They cook hope. The worst days, holidays, and shutdowns. Some viewers might think holidays feel special behind bars. But for many inmates, holidays are the hardest days in the entire year. The meal might be slightly better, turkey, stuffing, or a small dessert, but the emotion behind it hits differently. Seeing a holiday tray reminds people of family, traditions, and moments they can't get back. Shutdowns are even worse. When the facility goes into lockdown, from medical issues, fights, or emergencies, regular meals stop. Instead, inmates receive lockdown bags. Cold items, simple sandwiches, small snacks. No warmth. No cafeteria. Just silence behind metal doors. On those days, food becomes a reminder of how quickly freedom can shrink and how fragile peace is inside prison walls. The unexpected unity of special meals. But there are moments, rare, quiet moments, when food brings everyone together. In some prisons, cultural or religious meals create brief windows of understanding. A shared holiday dish, a special dinner during a religious observance, a rare menu item that everyone looks forward to. On those nights, the cafeteria feels different. People smile more. Tension fades. Even long-standing divisions soften, not forever, but for a brief exhale. It's one of the only times where inmates talk about memories. Instead of stress, childhood instead of conflict, dreams instead of survival. Food becomes a reminder that everyone, no matter where they are, is still human. The future of prison meals. Around the world, governments debate whether prison meals should be healthier, cheaper, or more structured. Some countries are experimenting with fresh vegetables from inmate-run gardens, cooking classes that teach real skills, nutrition programs to improve physical and mental health, expanded options for dietary needs. These programs aren't just about food. They're about stability, rehabilitation, and responsibility. When inmates learn to cook real meals or grow their own produce, violence drops, tension fades, and people begin to feel more control over their lives. It shows a simple truth. When people are treated with dignity, they respond with dignity. Food as a tool for rehabilitation. In some facilities, something unexpected is happening. Food is becoming a pathway to a better future. Not through gourmet meals or special treatment, but through responsibility, routine, and skill. In prisons across the US, the UK, Australia, and beyond, select inmates work in kitchens, chopping vegetables, preparing meals, washing trays, and learning how to run a food service program. It's hard, repetitive work. But for many, it becomes a lifeline. The routine creates structure. The responsibility creates confidence. And the skills, knife safety, sanitation, teamwork, become valuable long after someone leaves prison. Some inmates leave with enough experience to apply for real culinary jobs on the outside. Others use it simply to rebuild their sense of purpose. Food becomes more than sustenance. It becomes recovery. The dark side of control. But even with programs meant to help, food can be misused as a tool of pressure or manipulation. Not just by inmates, but sometimes by the system itself. When budgets shrink, meals get smaller. Ingredients get cheaper. Meals lean heavily on starches and substitutes. And inmates feel the impact immediately. Hunger is a quiet storm. It wears people down. It increases frustration, reduces patience, and heightens every tension already simmering beneath the surface. Even in well-managed prisons, meal quality can swing dramatically from week to week, depending on supply, staffing, and security issues. Food becomes a mirror of the system's stability. When the system struggles, the trays reflect it first. Cultural differences inside the cafeteria. Every prison cafeteria around the world looks different, but each one carries the identity of the region it belongs to. In the US, meals often include cornbread, beans, chicken, rice, or pasta. In some states, there are chili dishes that vary widely in quality. In others, loaf meals have replaced standard trays during high-security days. A dense brick of ingredients baked into a single lump, meant to prevent misuse of utensils. In the UK, meals often reflect British staples: pies, curries, potatoes, and baked dishes. Breakfast may include porridge or toast. Even here, though, portions are managed strictly. Australian prisons blend local influence with practical menus. Rice dishes, vegetables, meat pies, chicken, and simple pastas. Where inmate kitchens exist, cultural fusion becomes common. Stir-fries, noodle bowls, and hearty stews. These differences aren't just about geography. They show how each nation views nutrition, order, and rehabilitation. Health, nutrition, and consequences. People often assume the biggest challenge of prison meals is taste. But the real issue is health. Meals must meet basic nutritional standards, yet the reality varies. Some prisons serve balanced options. Others rely heavily on filler foods, bread, potatoes, and starches, because they're cheap and stretch farther. The result? Weight gain for some inmates and weight loss for others. Mental health ties in closely. When someone receives the same bland meals every day, their mood changes, energy drops, motivation fades. For people already struggling emotionally, food can either help stabilize them or push them deeper into frustration. Doctors and advocates argue that nutrition has a direct impact on behavior behind bars. Better meals don't just improve health. They reduce conflict, improve focus, and help inmates work, learn, and rehabilitate. Food may seem small, but its impact is enormous. The quiet heroes behind the trays. Behind the scenes, there are people who rarely get credit. The staff and inmates who wake up before sunrise to prepare thousands of meals a day. They chop vegetables, bake bread, stir huge pots, and organize trays with precision. They deal with strict schedules, security checks, and pressure that most kitchens never face. For many inmate workers, these jobs become the only place where they feel trusted, useful, and part of something structured. For staff members, it's a balancing act between safety and compassion, ensuring meals are delivered on time, hot when they're supposed to be hot, and safe for everyone. Their efforts often go unnoticed, but without them, every prison system would come to a halt. Food and family connection. For people behind bars, food becomes a bridge between life inside and the memories they carry from the outside. A certain smell can bring back childhood moments. A type of bread can remind someone of home. A holiday meal, even the smallest version, can open a flood of emotions. Some inmates save snacks or small commissary items to share with visitors during approved visitation times. It becomes a way to connect with loved ones, to feel normal for a moment, to hold on to something human in a place designed to strip away comfort. Food becomes more than nourishment. It becomes memory and hope. The clang of metal doors echoes again, but this time, after everything we've seen, it sounds different. Because now we understand that what happens behind those walls is never just about food. Every tray, every portion, every missing scoop of rice, every smuggled seasoning packet, it all becomes part of a bigger, hidden language. A language of pressure, survival, and the constant struggle for control. Across the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and beyond, prison meals reveal far more than what's on the menu. They reveal who really holds influence. They show how gangs communicate without speaking, how alliances form, how tensions rise, how people cope, adapt, and find tiny pockets of humanity in a place designed to strip it away. Some prisoners see those trays as a reminder of everything they've lost. Others see them as a challenge, an opportunity to create, to negotiate, or simply to make it through one more day. And some see them as power itself. But once you step outside those gates, the world looks different. Because the next time you hear about prison conditions, budgets, food quality, or gang violence, you'll know that nothing inside a correctional system exists on its own. Everything is connected. Every system has cracks. And every crack tells a story. A story about hunger, for respect, for control, for identity, and yes, sometimes for real food. And maybe that's the biggest truth hiding behind every tray. Prisons don't just feed people. They feed entire underground economies, entire social hierarchies, entire cultures that most of us never get to see. Until now. If this deep dive opened your eyes, there's a lot more to uncover. Because inside these walls, every corner has a secret, and every secret has consequences far beyond the bars. Stay curious, stay aware, and as always, thank you for watching.